In the world of Dr. Stone, humanity is plunged into an unexpected apocalypse after a strange light appears, turning every last human being into stone where they stand. As all of humanity's progress crumbles away, the entire face of the Earth is altered, and society devolves into a much more primitive state. Modern technology has all decayed and been lost to time. Enter the mad scientist Senku, who, after having miraculously broken out of his stone prison through his own sheer willpower, awakens in a world so vastly different from his own, where virtually nothing from the past has survived. But where there's a will, there's a way, and Senku quickly adapts to this new environment through his knowledge of science. Immediately, he begins to work towards a goal: to bring modern society back from the brink and establish a kingdom of science. Senku believes that through science, anything is possible. He devotes himself to exploring those possibilities and believes that science can explain virtually anything that occurs in the world. Despite what his coldly analytical and arrogant personality might suggest, Senku actually works for the betterment of the whole of humanity, creating a depetrifying solution to turn people back from stone and creating a kingdom of science, in order to make life easier for everyone. But not everybody agrees with him. Enter into the fray Tsukasa Shishio, known back in Senku's time 3,700 years ago as the strongest high school primate. Tsukasa starts out as an ally to Senku and Taiju, helping them to hunt for food and doing other physical tasks that the physically frail Senku needs help with. But he quickly establishes himself as Senku's main opposition when he disagrees with Senku's plan to depetrify every last human on Earth. Senku and Tsukasa's ideals clash immediately, leading to Tsukasa making an attempt on Senku's life, and ultimately to them parting ways altogether. Senku to build his kingdom of science, while Tsukasa uses the depetrifying solution to create his own empire, the Empire of Might. But what are these ideals, and why can't they coexist? What exactly does Tsukasa hope to achieve, and why can't Senku's own philosophy align with Tsukasa's? Today we take a look at these two characters' philosophies, what makes them so different from each other, where they come from, and which one ultimately works. Welcome to Cosplay-FTW, your #1 source for the latest lowdown on anime and manga news, updates, and analyses. Sit back, relax, and before we get into this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. And let's get into it. We start with the basics of Senku and Tsukasa's philosophies. Senku wants to essentially recreate the world from the ground up, and remake every single scientific invention that was made in his time. From simple things like ramen, cola, and cotton candy to more complicated inventions like electricity, light bulbs, and cell phones, Senku wants to rediscover and reintroduce them all into this new world. Not once does Senku waver in his convictions, and works tirelessly towards this endeavor. This belief is so deeply ingrained in him since he was a child by his father, that Senku has never stopped believing it since. To sum it all up, Senku is an idealist who believes that the world can be restored to what it was 3,700 years ago. In contrast, Tsukasa's realism overextends itself to pessimism. He sees science and its technological advancements as nothing more than tools that old and rich people have used constantly to belittle and oppress others, especially the young. Tsukasa has seen only the harm that bringing every single person back will do, and believes that most of humanity is inherently bad and greedy, and will eventually just lead the world down the wrong path. His story, about a boy who wanted to collect seashells for his sick sister, but was beaten up because a fisherman who claimed to own the beach the shells were in forbade him from doing that, is his testament to humanity's greed and corruption. Thus, Tsukasa aims to create a society where only a just few are given the right to live, albeit a much simpler way of life, completely opposite to Senku's kingdom of science. Tsukasa shuns scientific development, believing it more harmful than good, and ultimately this is why he must kill Senku, the sole threat to his ideal world. Despite what Senku and Tsukasa's personalities may suggest, their ideals are actually different from what they outwardly present. Senku is a no-nonsense individual. He sees through the lens of logic and practicality, and is oftentimes blunt, condescending, and aloof. However, Senku's goal is to save all of humanity through science without leaving a single person out. Instead of using science to oppress them, Senku believes in using science to literally free everyone from their stone prisons, not just a select group of people. Outside of his violent tendencies, Tsukasa is upright, polite, and generally respectful. He goes by a strict moral code and ultimately only wants what's best for those he cares about. However, he doesn't believe that every single person is worth caring for, claiming that only the young and physically fit should inherit the earth. They are uncorrupted by people from the older generations and by science. To this end, Tsukasa will kill Senku and every other scientific mind in existence in order to stop any kind of scientific progression to maintain his simple, free, and uncorrupted world. Essentially, it is an argument over whether or not science is inherently bad, with both Senku and Tsukasa standing on polar opposite sides of the debate. Senku sees the wonders people can achieve through science, such as modern medicine, food, and machines that make manual labor easier. He believes when used for good, science helps people and significantly improves their lives. But Tsukasa sees how science has been used as a tool for oppression, such as the manufacturing of weapons, the destruction of the natural world, and its exploitation for capitalistic greed. And both sides do have a point. Tsukasa knows that once people are revived and reclaim the earth, they will eventually argue amongst themselves over things like land and titles, and keep those they deem inferior to them from taking what they believe is their entitlement. He believes that the only way to avoid this is to bring back only those without such ideals, and create a primeval yet equal society where people are free to take whatever resources they need, and are not bound to any rules. After all, without modern inventions such as capitalism and class systems, people are able to live freely and take whatever they need. But to its own disadvantage, Tsukasa's Empire of Might has none of the benefits of modern technology, like Senku's Kingdom of Science does. And even without scientific progression, human beings living in close proximity will undoubtedly suffer conflicts among themselves. They may not be conflicts as cataclysmic as nuclear war, but the absence of refined weapons is not enough to prevent a fight. And in some cases, it's the threat of mutual destruction that prevents a war from breaking out altogether. Tsukasa's empire also favors the physically capable and strong, which presents its own set of issues and disparities. On the one hand, surviving through one's own physical capability makes for a physically healthier and stronger population. Modern society's advancements make people's lives easier, sure, but also contribute to a sedentary lifestyle. The members of such a society are prone to becoming weaker, overweight, sicker. Even then, taken far enough, Tsukasa's philosophy would dictate that in his world, those born physically weaker or disadvantaged would simply be doomed, or would have no right to live at all. To Senku's merit, his points are continuously proven, as he transforms the lives of the people of Ishigama Village through his use of science. He makes eyeglasses for Suika and Kinro, creates ramen and cotton candy from scratch for the villagers, gives them the means to create essential materials such as glass and iron. He even makes long-distance communication possible by creating a cell phone and a phonogram to listen to records. It contrasts so greatly with Tsukasa's empire that Gen Asigiri is willing to betray Tsukasa for the simple pleasure of a bottle of cola, a luxury that he hasn't been able to get for 3,700 years. However, Senku has the single-minded intention to bring this stone-aged world into the modern era as quickly as possible. And as such, it seems he intends to make every scientific invention that existed pre-petrification. Creating every modern invention indiscriminately means the engineering of things that are perhaps not so savory. Tanks, atom bombs, biological weapons would all be fair game. After all, Senku never once mentions that there were inventions he would simply refuse to create, due to their possible destructive impact on society. This poses very real dangers in its own right. Technological advancement without foresight can lead down very grim paths. Just like how Senku and Tsukasa argue over the application of science, it is the application of each of their own ideals that the series continuously highlights. Tsukasa succeeds in making his free society, made up of only strong and young people who take what they want from nature without fear of consequence, and who don't have to fear being harassed and subjugated like they were in their past lives. But Tsukasa's empire has had to go without many of the inventions that Ishigami Village has, especially those that would benefit their warrior-like lifestyle, such as medicines, gunpowder, and refined weapons. Meanwhile, Senku continues to improve the lives of Ishigami Village greatly, elevating them from the Stone Age all the way to the Iron Age, and even towards the Modern Age with his scientific engineering. The villagers themselves admit that since Senku arrived, their lives have been changed for the better. And while Tsukasa has managed to win people over to his side, life is a daily struggle in his empire, what with everything being manual and his strong survival of the fittest ideal. In a way, Tsukasa appears to be holding everyone else back for the sake of his own ideals, as he gives them the freedom to live without oppression, but ironically, takes away their freedom to have the aid, comforts, and pleasures that a modern society can achieve. Although the Empire of Might is shown to be greater in terms of raw strength, Tsukasa's ideals are framed to have more disadvantages than Senku's. But to his merit, Tsukasa's philosophy is arguably the least destructive path for humanity to take. But this doesn't necessarily make it the better philosophy. In contrast to Tsukasa, Senku has a deep faith in humanity. He believes human beings will do good with the technological advancements that he bestows them with his conviction being to simply bring the world back into the modern age no matter what. And in a fraction of the time it took humanity to do this the first time, it is clear that he is a true idealist, because despite the mistakes that mankind has made in its violent, riddled past, he still entrusts humanity with the very scientific knowledge that can destroy it. He is not a protector and never claimed to be. He doesn't wish to coddle humanity by imposing limitations upon it based on morality. He offers the knowledge of both life and death, and is willing to leave humanity with the choice of doing good with it, or allowing it to lead to their own self-destruction. In this way, Senku doesn't offer scientific ingenuity as his greatest gift to humanity, but true freedom, freedom of choice, free will. In the end, Senku's philosophy is the one that poses greater risk, but also values freedom and can lead humanity to greater heights, where Tsukasa's philosophy of self-imposed ignorance keeps humanity surviving, safe, but stagnant. We can't wait to see how this battle of ideals plays out in the series, and only time will tell which philosophy is the right one. Senku's resourcefulness and ingenuity has pulled through plenty of times before, and he's not about to let Tsukasa stop his ultimate goal. But who really knows who will get the last laugh in the end? Which philosophy aligns with you the most, and why? Let us know in the comments section below, and let's get the discussion started. If you enjoy our videos, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for our next video, Attack on Titan, The 9 Titans Explained.
It has arrived, and it's heavy. So basically this is a Haikyuu mystery box that I got from K-pop-F20, or I think that's something of that matter. And it took about a month to get here, so let's see what I got. Look at this cute Nishinoya pillow. It's double-sided. Oh my god, and it's like really fluffy. Oh, he's adorable. Look at all of the detail. OMG, they gave me a Hinata Nendoroid, and I see a little cutie back there too. So I said that my favorites were Bokuto and Noya. So they gave me Noya pin and Bokuto with a little Bokuto keychain. I love it so much. And they gave me this lanyard. You want your ball, I get it. But my favorite is the frickin' Nendoroid.